As always, we're going to start by just saying that you need to seek permission before you hack into anything. Hacking is illegal in the UK and probably in most countries, so please take a look at the local laws and make sure you've got permission before hacking into anything. Okay? So today I want to look at installing Kali Linux into a virtual machine. We're going to use VirtualBox today, and we'll look at VirtualBox, all the ins and outs of how to set that up at another time. So I'm going to pop out to a web browser. If you search for Kali Linux download, that will give you all of the various different platforms and installer options. I'm going to use the installer image as recommended, and I'm going to use the 64-bit, and I'm just going to download the installer.
5 minutes later.
So over to VirtualBox, which is just here. So I'm going to do machine, new machine. You can select expert mode, kind of do everything at once, or you can use the guided mode, and it steps you through, which we're just going to do the guided mode. So it says enter the name of your virtual machine. Now I'm not going to call it Kali. Most people call it Kali. I'm going to call it distro. What is it? It's a copy of Linux, and it's an other type 64-bit. So I've set those up in here. I click on next. Now memory size, it defaults to something very small. If you're going to use this as your pen testing distro, you want to give it a good chunk of memory. So maybe most of the memory goes to Kali. I've got a load of memory in this machine, so I'm going to set mine to 16. Hard disk, leave that as the default. Leave that as the default. Dynamic is fine. And again, it basically says 8 gig. You're going to need a lot more than 8 gig. I would recommend at least 100, if not more. You don't want to be running out of disk space when you do updates or when you are unzipping word lists and things like that. So that's that part done. Okay, then what you can do is if you go into the settings, so right click and settings, I can then go into storage and tell it to use the disk file that we downloaded, which was Kali Linux 2024, like that, and say OK, and then we can fire up our new machine. Okay, so I'm going to choose graphical install. English, I'm going to select the United Kingdom English for me. You select whichever language is best for you. British English sets the keyboard up, although you can change it once it's been installed, just makes life easier. Does its initial install parts.
5 minutes later.
Hostname, again, I'm going to call it distro rather than the normal Kali. Domain, we don't have one, so I'm just going to call it domain. Enter a user account. I tend to put me rather than my actual name for a bit of hiding my username. Password, I'm going to pop in a password, one that I can remember. Try again. There we go.
5 minutes later.
So it's going to set up the disks. So we're going to use guided entire disk. If you were not using a virtual machine, if you're setting up on your base, you'd probably want to use LVM, something like that. So it's encrypted. My copy of Windows has already got BitLocker, already full disk encryption, so I'm just going to use the guided use entire disk option. Using the defaults, finish partitioning and write the changes. Now in this bit here, write changes to disk, you select yes and continue, and it sets up the disks with the Linux file system. So this will take a little bit of time, so We'll skip this bit.
5 minutes later.
Next, you get to install the software. I'm going to leave this as it is, so the defaults are fine for what I need, so I'm going to continue.
5 minutes later.
Hello? Yeah. I'm sorry I didn't initiate this call, so I can't give out any information. No, I'm sorry, I can't give out any information. Yeah, if you could pick up milk. Okay, love you, bye. Allegedly, it's the missus.
5 minutes later.
So the reason why I prefer to install using an installer image or the ISO is that it builds the operating system, although virtualized, onto your hardware. And I find you get a lot less issues that way rather than using the pre-installed images. So you can download VirtualBox and VMware and other pre-installed images, but generally speaking, whenever I've used them, I've ended up reverting back to a full install using the ISO anyway. So this is my preferred method. Okay, so it's installing the Grub bootloader. Do you wish to install this? Yes, we do. That's the one we want. And we are done. So the machine restarts. So we get our first look at Kali. And we can log in with the username and the password that we gave it. Okay, a couple of things right off the bat. I'm going to open a terminal and I'm going to make sure I know what the root password is. So I'm going to do a sudo switch user do a pass wd and I'm going to change the root password. New password. So what we can do now is we can either be logged in as the normal user, the me account, or we can log in as the root account when we're doing admin functions. If you're doing things like browsing the internet using your email, you should be logged in as your normal standard user. And if you're doing admin things, then it's okay to log in as root. So what I'm going to do is to do some admin functions as I'm going to log out of my standard user and now log in as the root account. As I say, you should only use the root account for admin functions. Okay, so we've installed Kali, we've logged in as root, and that's where we're going to end this first part. If you want to continue the configuration to get a security testing or pen testing distro ready, then look for the next video in this series. If you'd like more information, head on over to thecyberscheme.org for information around our training, our assessments, and all the good things that we do. I've been the Humble Hacker. Speak to you next time.